Hey, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all about how to glow from the inside out. And today we're talking April Faves, the video where I share with you all the skincare, beauty products, and self-care practices that help me glow this month. If you're so ready to dive into the faves, give the video a big thumbs up and let's get started. First up, Cocokind Chia Facial Oil. Now, I actually wanted to talk about this in March because that's when I started using this oil in my skincare routines, and I was getting really excited about it. I was like, hold on. Give it a little bit more time before you start talking about it being your favorite. So I have been using this for about 2 months now, and I have been impressed. It is time to talk about this oil. So I've been a really big fan of chia seed oil in general for many years now because the fatty acid profile of this oil is particularly good for my skin concerns, strengthening my skin barrier, fighting dehydration, soothing my sensitive skin. The omega fatty acid profile of chia seed oil, it's really high in omega-3 fatty acid, and that's really great for sensitive skin, for soothing inflammation on the skin, but it's also high in omega-6 fatty acid, and this is particularly good for your skin barrier. It's actually one of the most abundant fatty acids in your skin, and it plays a crucial role in the lipid layer, which is your skin barrier, for helping to hold hydration in place and to resist dehydration. So it's a particularly good oil, like I said, for your barrier and for dehydration. And there's very little omega-9 fatty acid content in chia seed oil. Now, omega-9, you always hear, 3, 6, and 9, right? I just want to touch on 9 really quickly. There's very little omega-9 content in chia seed, and omega-9 is a very rich fatty acid. It brings a lot of moisture and nourishment to the skin. It's very good if your skin is dry. If you have very acne-prone skin, you might want to keep your eye out for any kind of oil that contains a high amount of omega-9, because these tend to be the oils that are much heavier, like I said, more rich, and they can potentially cause acne for folks who are prone to it because it can be a bit pore clogging for some people. So I'm talking about oils like marula oil is a big one that has quite a bit of omega-9 fatty acid in it. It may not play well with acne prone skin. And so that's another reason why I like chia seed oil, because I'm not super duper prone to acne from oil. I mean, obviously I've been using lots of different oils in my skincare routine for many years, right? But I do like to keep my eye on that because I can be prone to congestion and clogged pores, which can turn into acne. And so I like the lightness of chia seed oil. It really does manifest in something that feels a little bit more on the lighter side than those denser, richer, kind of sit on top of your skin facial oils. And so this one from Cocokind, I've had my eye on it for at least a year now, because you may know that I'm a big fan of the ordinary chia seed oil, which was discontinued last year. They stopped producing it. And so I finally ran out of my back stock of that oil. I had bought a bunch, during the Slovember sale a few years ago, actually, at this point. And so I finally ran out, and I was like, all right, now is the time. And so I bought this off of iHerb, back at the end of February, I think it was, and started using it. And I was like, you know what? This is a little bit different than the ordinary oil, because the ordinary oil is a little bit lighter in texture, a little bit more fluidy and lighter weight. This one still feels light. It just has a little bit more moisture, just a kiss more than the ordinary does. But my skin's actually really enjoying that. So it's more of like a light medium kind of feel. Really great benefits. It absorbs in the skin really nicely. It makes my skin feel really comfortable. I do feel that this is doing exactly what all my other oils that I love and use do. It keeps my skin barrier strong. I was using an oil blend from Stratia for the winter months, which is a lot richer, and it does actually have a bit more omega-9 fatty acid content in it. So it is much more nourishing. Really great when your skin is dry, right? As I mentioned. But I do like to shift over to chia seed oil as the temperatures start to get warmer, and my combination skin is a lot less dry and a little bit more truly combo, where I have quite a bit more oil in my T-zone, and I do have dryness and dehydration in my U-zone, just not as bad. And then towards more in the summer, that oiliness can become more pronounced, and so I like something lighter. And chia seed has really been the one that I go to for the last couple of years. I do feel like this is going to perform just as well in the summertime. It really just is that much lighter kind of take on some of my favorite oil blends. Just this one alone is performing so well for my skin. April's been an interesting one weather-wise, because it's been like I feel like the last couple of years it's been unseasonably warm in April, and this April it actually has been a little bit more moderate, not quite as warm as I was kind of hoping and expecting it to be. So we still had some chillier days where my skin was feeling it, but this oil definitely performed well in that. But we've also had some hotter days too. You know, it's 70 degrees right now, and it's performing really well and not overwhelming my skin. Next, let's talk about the Eqqualberry Swimming Pool Toner. And I'm gonna be dead honest with you, I didn't think I was gonna like this. Like I was almost kind of like set on not liking this product because let me tell you, this is something that I wanted to buy. I was gonna say a couple months ago, but well into the middle of 2024. So a while ago now at this point, I was like, ooh, I kind of want to get this. I haven't really heard of this, but swimming pool toner, that's like, that name is really drawing me in. But for whatever reason, I didn't get it right away. And then it started like popping up everywhere, especially on TikTok. It was one that a lot of y'all started asking me about, like if I would review it, because you were also seeing it on your For You page, especially on TikTok. People were really starting to hype this up. And that's when my interest in, ooh, a swimming pool toner, I want a toner that makes me feel like I'm in a swimming pool of hydration, right? That's when that feeling turned into, ugh, it's another one of those TikTok K-beauty products. Okay, I don't think I'm interested in this anymore. But you know what? We do it for the content, right? I'm here to give you the truth, to give you my honest opinion, to give you my honest experience, right? And I do believe that that is an active resistance against some of this manufactured stuff, right? So I was like, let me get this toner. Let me give you my honest review. Don't really want to like it. First time I put it on the back of my hand, that's what I do before I do anything on my face. I'll always put it on the back of my hand first just to see like, what are we working with here, right? And I was like, ooh, and I was like, no, I don't want to like this. I was like, ooh, this feels so interesting because this toner, it's watery and it's runny, but it's that type of toner that has body and bounce, like a little jiggle to it, if you will. It's not a gel toner and it's not a thick toner. It still is very fluidy, but there is a body. You can see a fullness to this, and there's like a slipperiness to it that's actually really nice. As you see how I'm doing this, right? Because I'm like, I'm getting that sense memory. It's like as you run it across your skin, there's that slippery, luxurious kind of like feel to it. It has like a cushiony kind of feel, but it does actually absorb into the skin really nicely. And it does offer some deep hydration to the skin. And because there's just that little fullness to it without being a full on gel texture, right? Just a little fullness. It does kind of go psh, inside of your skin. And when I say psh, I mean like bursts into hydration and kind of makes your skin just feel a little bit more, replenished, a little bit plumper, a little bit bouncier. And because again, it's not like a thicker texture, like a super thick gel-like texture, it doesn't have a stickiness at the surface. So it just feels very refreshing, very swimming pool-like, I will admit, very deeply hydrating. And then your skin just feels really refreshed, cooled, but it feels like that hydration is like deep down and locked in. And so it feels amazing, but still breathable. I mean, this is the type of toner I would recommend for any skin type. Because it doesn't have like, some toners, like I said, they can have like a sticky kind of finish afterwards, or they can feel like they're weighing a little heavy on the skin, especially if you already have a lot of oil on your skin. They're going to be overwhelming. Not this one. I think it will play really well with all skin types. So just from the texture alone, I was like, I'm intrigued. And then through my testing, putting it on my face and using it in my skincare routines, I was like, I really like how this feels. It's really making my skin feel very comfortable. And I can definitely go through some dehydration. Like I mentioned, the weather's been kind of cold, one day and then kind of warm the next. And that kind of up and down can really make my skin feel kind of out of whack. And that's when the dehydration usually starts to kick in a little bit, is when things are a little bit wonky like that. And I feel like this really helped to keep the dehydration at bay, kept my skin feeling really comfortable and feeling very good and plump. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the experience of using this. Now, one of the main sort of kind of like marketing things, the talking points, if you will, right, of this particular toner is that they're using an ingredient called Protease, which is an ingredient that helps to gently exfoliate your skin, so your skin is smoother and it's clearer and all of that. So this is a similar kind of formulation to the Round Lab Docto toner, which I am also a fan of. It has a slightly different texture, but the idea here with the formula is the same because the Round Lab toner also uses protease to help to shed away the dead skin cells. Now, this is not an exfoliating ingredient. It offers exfoliation-like benefits. It does encourage dead skin cells to shed away a little bit quicker off of the skin, no doubt. It's not a chemical exfoliant is what I'm trying to say here. It's not AHA, it's not glycolic acid, it's not mandelic acid, it's not even like gluconolactone, which is the PHA ingredient, right? It's not even like that. It's not even like that one step gentler. It's a whole different class of ingredient. It's an enzyme. You know, it's not a chemical exfoliant. I am noticing maybe my skin is a little bit smoother. I also use other, true exfoliants. I use a glycolic acid mask once a week, and then I also use a retinaldehyde product. This is something that is going to help to condition the skin, right? So I just noticed a little bit more smoothness. Maybe this is just that little extra booster product in my routine. Maybe my skin is already quite optimized though, so I'm not too like taken in by that. I have seen some folks online saying that it has helped to help smooth their skin and take down some redness, and maybe to help with texture when they're using it extremely long term, and then with other products that help to address those issues as well, like as a booster product. But I did want to talk about my experience using this because I don't really feel any kind of irritation from the protease or any like over exfoliating symptoms on my skin. I just like to put that out there because the marketing is compelling, but I think it also causes a lot of confusion. I think that you can safely use this in your skincare routine once a day, 2 times a day, and not be too worried about the over exfoliation effects of this enzyme. Next, let's talk about Cosrx, the Ceramide Skin Barrier Moisturizer. Now, this is another product that I actually was thinking I wasn't going to like for very different reasons than Eqqualberry, but this was one that definitely won me over as I started to test it out, and I was like, oh, actually I really like this. So this is actually a new release from Cosrx. They announced it like on their socials and on their website a while ago, and it was definitely intriguing. They claim that this is a highly concentrated ceramide moisturizer, that it's great for healing a weak or damaged moisture barrier. It's great for sensitive skin. It's this like great cream for like dry or dehydrated skin. And I was like, yes, please. Like, this is absolutely everything that I look for, in my moisturizers. I love ceramides, I love barrier care, I love like medium weight moisturizers. The ingredients list passed the vibe check because there was no no fragrance, no essential oils, no drying forms of alcohol, surprisingly no niacinamide, which I don't have a problem with, but I know some folks struggle with that. And sometimes in moisture barrier repairing products, sometimes it's not always the best, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, right? So anyways, I was just like, oh, this is really intriguing. And on their site, it was interesting. They announced it, but then it was like not in stock for the longest time. It just said notify when available, notify when available. And so I left the tab open on my phone for the longest time. And every few days I'd go back and I'd like refresh. And then finally it said add to cart. And I was like, yes, please add to cart. So I got it, and then it shipped out really fast. Actually, it did from Cosrx.com. If you're in the US, it did ship from California. That might be helpful information as we move into the unknown land of tariffs, right? So it shipped from California, came pretty quickly. And the first thing I do, what do? I put it on the back of my hand, and I tried out the texture, and I was like, oh, because what came out of the tube was like, it looked like a medium cream, but then as I spread it, I saw, oh, it's a little bit thinner than I was thinking based on the description on the website. And it definitely has like a wetter feel to it, a hydrating feel to it. There's quite a bit of hyaluronic acid in this moisturizer. And it kind of had more of like instead of like a medium weight, like traditional cream texture, it had kind of like a gel cream feel to it, where it has that hydrating factor and that moisturizing factor. It looks thicker, and then you spread it and it actually feels thinner on your skin. And I would classify this as what I call like a light/medium cream. It's not a full-on medium cream like an Ilyun cream would be, right? Or like a CeraVe moisturizing cream. Those to me are medium creams. There's definitely heavier creams than those out there. And then there's lighter creams than that. And this isn't quite a full-on gel. It's not a full-on traditional cream. It just kind of felt like it fit somewhere a little closer to medium, but it felt a little bit, it had a lighter feel to it. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be enough for my skin. And so that's why I said, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to like this. This kind of sucks, right? But it still is a very interesting product. It's going to make a great video no matter, how it turns out, right? But I was just thinking for me personally, I was like, this isn't going to be very fun to test out probably. And so when I did finally get it on my face, right, I was like, gosh, I just know it's not going to be enough for me. Like I know like I'm putting it on my face. I'm like, I know that my skin's not going to feel good by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon because it's so thin and it's so light. There's no way that this could protect me from dehydration, right? And when I was testing it, as I mentioned, there's been some pretty chilly days. It was still pretty cold when I was testing this out. My skin was feeling a little bit drier on those days as well. And so I was just like, I know I'm not going to like it. Like that was my attitude. I was like, I just know where this is going. Did I though? Did I? It was funny because that very first day, I remember thinking pessimistically about it as I was putting it on. It was just one of those days where it's like, I don't have time to think about my skin. Like check in, like, how am I feeling with my skin tuition today? I was like, no, I got stuff to do today. And so it was like the end of the day and I was like, oh, it's almost time for for me to do my nighttime routine. And oh yeah, I forgot I put this cream on. Like, okay, how did it perform? I'm like, the fact that you did not think about this cream at all throughout the day is your information. It's your skin does not feel dehydrated. It feels comfortable. It feels protected. It feels chill. Nothing has happened. And that's a good sign. And I was like, oh. And then so I started to feel more comfortable, right, using it after that. And I was using it morning and nighttime and really enjoying it. And I really think that it comes down to the formulation here. And you can check out my review that it did come out a few weeks ago where I really break this down, but I just want to like kind of quickly touch on it because they're using 5 different types of ceramides. They're closer to the bottom of the list here. And you may think that that's not a highly concentrated ceramide moisturizer, right? But they're actually using 2 other forms of ceramides. It's just the word ceramide is not in the inky name of these ingredients. It's ceramide PC 104 and ceramide PC 102. So these 2 ingredients are actually lab-made ceramides, and they're much higher up on the list. So you can see that they're actually using not only a lot of variety of ceramide content, but you can see that there's a good concentration of ceramides in here. And then there's a whole host of other barrier supportive ingredients in here, including the cholesterol and fatty acids that I'm always talking about. The only thing that I noticed about this that was a little bit different than some of my favorite moisturizers, and it's due to the wetness of the formula. It just takes a little bit longer for it to fully settle on the skin. It does appear quite shiny when you first put it on. Give it a couple of minutes. It will fully settle, fully dry, fully absorb into the skin, and then it's not sticky. It's not tacky. You'll still get a little bit of glow, but it's not like pilling up on you or anything like that once it's settled into the skin. I just feel that it needs a little bit more time than the moisturizer that you're probably used to, and I think that's just due to the humectant content in here is quite high. But otherwise, I was won over by this. Like I said, I didn't think I was going to like it, just kind of like just on the feel alone, but there's something about this formula that's really hard hitting. And yeah, like I said, check out the review for my full thoughts and a real ingredient breakdown and all of that. But I was really impressed with this one and I do not regret buying it. So let's talk about the inner glow for April. This is the section of the video where I talk about the self-care practices truly that help me to glow from the inside out this month. And April for me is a real pivotal month because it's truly the month where spring has sprung. And so spring is actually such a time of re-energizing and renewal, and like finally we're emerging out of this dark, cold, icy winter. And I think nature just can offer us so many metaphors, you know what I mean, that can be very beneficial to this journey that we're all on. So bear with me as I give you this this metaphor. But in the winter, especially where I live, if you look right outside my window right now, there is a tree right here that looks dead. Right? It is very like dull looking. There's no leaves on it. The branches are completely bare. It looks dead. And in the winter, if you cut that branch open, just cut a little branch off, you'd actually see that there's green inside. It's not technically dead. But when spring comes out, like I said, it's this renewal, and there's a lot of hope and there's a lot of energy behind spring because, that tree that looked dead, now all of a sudden all that energy that was inside starting to burst forward, and now we're seeing the buds on the tree. And then, you know, in a couple of weeks, we're going to see leaves. Green is going to start emerging out of those buds. The flowers start to come out of the ground. The plants start to waken up, right? Things start to go from gray and dull to beautiful, vibrant, and green, right? And then we move into summer, which is just like everything is just bursting and blooming and blossoming. I have been feeling such a renewed energy and a renewed spirit around a lot of things that I want to accomplish, a lot of my goals. April is that girl, you know what I'm saying? So there's so much good energy for us to use. So how? Because these are like really great abstract ideas, but how do we take this and how do we use it? You know, first and foremost, think about the goals, you know, that you want to achieve. Think about them like seeds that you're planting. Define what you want to do first. Write it down in your journal, maybe, you know, put it in your notes app, keep it on your phone, make it the wallpaper for your phone if you're like truly committed, right? Whatever works for you, but also define that and really, you know, journal on that if that makes sense for you. If you're not a writer, you know, you can actually just use the voice memos on your phone and just talk into your phone. Because sometimes I don't want to write it out, you know, but I will happily talk it out, but maybe I'm not quite ready to share with a friend. Really define it out and really how you're going to feel and what you're going to do to just start taking baby steps towards that. Because that's really what it's about, right? And that's what spring is. It's baby steps. We don't go from winter to summer right away, right? There is a process of the bud, right? We don't just go from dead tree to leaves. There's a process, and this is that time to define that process and to embrace the baby steps towards whatever it is that you want to achieve. I hope that this helps you. I have a feeling that you may also be holding some ideas or some goals or some changes that you'd like to make close to your heart, and maybe, you know, the last couple of months haven't felt like very energizing, but I hope that you're starting to feel the shift, the vibe shift, if you will, right? Wherever you are in the world, that the energy is starting to build. And this is a really beautiful time for renewal, for recommitment, right? For action. Because ultimately, whatever we want to achieve, the first step is taking a step, is taking an aligned action, right? And that's oftentimes the first step is the scariest step. So there's really no better time, you know, than the spring to start to take that action, plant those seeds, nurture that ground, nurture that seed, and you're going to start to see the sprouts coming up out of the ground. We're going to start to see the bud start to open up, and that blossom is going to come out, and soon enough, you're going to be blooming. So let me know about your favorite products from April in the comments below, or maybe something that helped you glow from the inside out. If you love this video and you want to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and come join our skincare community. I love you so much. Thanks for being here with me today. Thank you for all of your support. I'm so incredibly grateful to all of you, and I just want to encourage you to keep shining your light. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.